The National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not contain a specific section that prohibits the painting of electrical receptacles. This means that there isn't a direct rule within the NEC that explicitly forbids applying paint to the surface of electrical outlets. However, it's essential to consider the broader implications and potential safety concerns associated with painting receptacles, even in the absence of a direct prohibition. Firstly, consider the impact on the receptacle's functionality and safety. Paint can potentially interfere with the proper operation of the receptacle. For example, if paint gets into the slots of the receptacle where the prongs of a plug are inserted, it can create a barrier that prevents a good electrical connection. This can lead to several problems, including overheating, arcing, and even electrical fires. The paint could act as an insulator, increasing resistance at the contact point and causing heat to build up. Secondly, think about the potential for misidentification. Receptacles are sometimes color-coded to indicate their voltage or intended use. For instance, orange receptacles are often used for isolated ground circuits, while red receptacles may indicate emergency power circuits. Painting a receptacle can obscure its original color, making it difficult to identify its intended purpose. This could lead to someone plugging the wrong device into the wrong receptacle, which could damage the device or create a safety hazard. The color provides a visual cue for proper usage and safety. Thirdly, consider the effect on the receptacle's markings. Receptacles are typically marked with information such as their voltage rating, amperage rating, and the manufacturer's name. Painting a receptacle can obscure these markings, making it difficult to determine its specifications. This can be problematic if you need to replace the receptacle or if you are troubleshooting an electrical problem. The markings are essential for safe and proper electrical work. Fourthly, let's explore the impact of paint on heat dissipation. The electrical receptacles generate heat during normal operation. This heat needs to be dissipated to prevent the receptacle from overheating. Paint can act as an insulator, trapping heat and preventing it from dissipating properly. This can lead to the receptacle overheating, which can damage the receptacle and create a fire hazard. The accumulation of heat can degrade the receptacle's components over time. Fifthly, take a look at local amendments and interpretations. While the NEC doesn't explicitly prohibit painting receptacles, local jurisdictions may have their own amendments or interpretations that do. It's important to check with your local electrical inspector to see if there are any local rules that prohibit painting receptacles. Local amendments can vary widely and are often based on specific safety concerns within a particular area. Sixthly, contemplate the general requirements for maintaining electrical equipment. The NEC contains general requirements for maintaining electrical equipment in good working order. These requirements could be interpreted to prohibit painting receptacles if the paint interferes with their proper operation or creates a safety hazard. Section 110.12 addresses mechanical execution of work, requiring electrical work to be installed in a neat and workmanlike manner. While not directly related to painting receptacles, it emphasizes the importance of quality and safety in electrical installations. Section 110.3b requires that listed or labeled equipment be installed and used in accordance with any instructions included in the listing or labeling. If the receptacle's listing or labeling prohibits painting, then it would be a violation of this section to paint it. Seventhly, consider the type of paint used. Some types of paint are more likely to cause problems than others. For example, metallic paints can be conductive, which could create a shock hazard. Oil-based paints can be flammable, which could increase the risk of fire. It's important to use a paint that is specifically designed for electrical applications and that is non-conductive and non-flammable. However, even with specialized paints, the concerns about functionality, identification markings, and heat dissipation still apply. Eighthly, think about the specific application. In some applications, painting receptacles may be more problematic than in others. For example, in a dusty or corrosive environment, paint can help to protect the receptacle from damage. However, in a clean and dry environment, paint may not be necessary and could even be detrimental. The environment in which the receptacle is installed can influence the risks and benefits of painting. Ninthly, consider the manufacturer's recommendations. Some manufacturers may recommend against painting their receptacles. It's important to check the manufacturer's instructions before painting a receptacle to see if there are any specific warnings or recommendations. The manufacturer's instructions often provide valuable information about the proper use and maintenance of the product. 10thly, think about best practices. Even if it's not explicitly prohibited, painting receptacles is generally not considered to be a best practice. It's usually better to leave receptacles unpainted to avoid any potential problems. If you want to change the color of a receptacle, it's better to replace it with a receptacle of the desired color. Replacing the receptacle ensures that it is properly colored and that there are no potential problems with paint interfering with its operation. 11thly, consider the practical implications of enforcement. Even if a local jurisdiction wanted to prohibit painting receptacles, it would be difficult to enforce such a rule. It would be hard to tell whether a receptacle had been painted unless it was inspected closely. And even if a painted receptacle was found, it would be difficult to prove that the paint was actually causing a problem. The practical challenges of enforcement make it less likely that local jurisdictions will adopt rules specifically prohibiting painting receptacles. 12thly, let's discuss alternative solutions. If the goal is to change the appearance of the receptacle, consider using receptacle covers or decorative plates. These options allow you to customize the look of the receptacle without the risks associated with painting. Receptacle covers and plates are available in a wide variety of colors, styles, and materials, making it easy to find one that matches your decor. 13thly, consider the potential liability. If someone is injured or property is damaged as a result of a painted receptacle, the person who painted the receptacle could be held liable. This is especially true if the paint was applied improperly or if it created a safety hazard. Liability can arise from negligence, so it's important to take precautions to avoid any potential problems. 14thly, think about the long-term effects. Over time, paint can crack, peel, and chip, which can make the receptacle look unsightly. It can also create a mess and make it difficult to clean the receptacle. The long-term effects of painting can outweigh any short-term benefits. 15thly, let's consider the context of the original question. The question mentioned an issue in Florida. While the NEC is a national code, each state and local jurisdiction can adopt and amend it. Therefore, it's crucial to check the specific electrical codes and regulations in Florida to see if there are any local rules regarding painting receptacles. State and local amendments can be more restrictive than the NEC. 16thly, consider the professional standards. Electricians and other electrical professionals are expected to adhere to high standards of workmanship and safety. Painting receptacles is generally not considered to be in line with these standards. Electrical professionals prioritize safety and reliability, and painting receptacles can compromise both. 17thly, think about the perspective of an electrical inspector. Electrical inspectors are responsible for ensuring that electrical installations are safe and compliant with the code. An electrical inspector may disapprove of a painted receptacle if they believe that it poses a safety hazard or if it violates any local rules. An inspector's decision is based on their professional judgment and their understanding of the applicable codes and regulations. 18thly, consider the implications for resale value. If you are selling a property, painted receptacles may be viewed as a negative by potential buyers. They may see it as a sign of unprofessional work or a potential safety hazard. This could reduce the value of the property or make it more difficult to sell. 19thly, let's discuss the specific colors used. If the concern is about matching the receptacle color to the wall color, consider using colored receptacles instead of painting them. Receptacles are available in a variety of colors, including white, ivory black, brown, and gray. Using colored receptacles ensures that the color is consistent and that there are no potential problems with paint interfering with the receptacle's operation. 20thly, think about the accessibility of the receptacle. If the receptacle is located in a difficult-to-reach area, painting it may be even more problematic. It may be difficult to apply the paint evenly and to avoid getting paint on other surfaces. This could create a mess and increase the risk of problems. 21stly, let's consider the type of receptacle. Some types of receptacles, such as tamper-resistant receptacles and ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI receptacles, have more complex designs than standard receptacles. Painting these types of receptacles may be more likely to cause problems. The more complex the receptacle, the greater the risk that paint will interfere with its operation. 22ndly, consider the safety of children. If there are children in the home, it's especially important to avoid painting receptacles. Children may be tempted to touch or play with painted receptacles, which could create a shock hazard. Child safety is always a top priority when it comes to electrical installations. 23rdly, think about the overall aesthetic. While it may be tempting to paint receptacles to match the decor, it's important to consider the overall aesthetic of the room. Painted receptacles can sometimes look unprofessional or even tacky. It's often better to choose receptacles that blend in with the decor, to use decorative plates to enhance their appearance. 24thly, let's discuss the documentation of changes. If you do decide to paint a receptacle, be sure to document the change. This will help to ensure that future electricians or homeowners are aware that the receptacle has been painted. Documentation can include taking photos or making notes in the maintenance log. 25thly, consider the need for future repairs. If a painted receptacle needs to be repaired or replaced, it may be more difficult to do so. The paint may make it difficult to remove the receptacle from the wall box, and it may also make it difficult to connect the wires properly. This could increase the cost of the repair or replacement. In summary, while the NEC does not explicitly prohibit painting electrical receptacles, it's important to consider the potential safety concerns and practical implications. Painting receptacles can interfere with their proper operation, obscure their markings, trap heat, and create a shock hazard. It's generally not considered to be a best practice, and local jurisdictions may have their own rules that prohibit it. If you want to change the color of a receptacle, it's better to replace it with a receptacle of the desired color or to use decorative plates. Always prioritize safety and follow the manufacturer's instructions when working with electrical equipment. And remember to check with your local electrical inspector to see if there are any specific rules in your area. Therefore, it is essential to carefully weigh the pros and cons before deciding to paint an electrical receptacle. While it may seem like a simple cosmetic fix, it could potentially create significant safety hazards and compromise the integrity of the electrical system. Always prioritize safety in compliance with electrical codes and regulations.